Hey, what's up everybody? We're back in the shop and we're gonna go ahead and try and fix my broken Xlx2 and do a few other modifications to it. So if you didn't know, running this big old TP motor, I ended up desoldering a motor connector from the actual motherboard on my Xlx2. And if you know, Castle will not fix that. If it's under warranty, they'll just send you a new one. Unfortunately, this one's no longer under warranty. But I know that you can fix it with solder and flux and a few other things, so we're going to go ahead and do that and hope for the best. The main plan is add some high-strength silver solder, use some flux, and then use some epoxy to reinforce it around the motherboard. This Xlx2 does go into my saw blade Limitless, so I'm trying to get that all back together. We had to do a bunch of maintenance on it. We had to rebuild the diffs and everything else. So we're going to go ahead and do a few maintenance things on that. EMP just got more 0-degree rear hinge pins in stock. And as you know, I love running that on my Speedrun car, and I need a second one for the saw blade Limitless because these back wheels, these back saw blades have to be perfectly straight. Otherwise, you know, they don't work like saw blades. Another thing is we got a center spool shaft, a hot racing one, so we're gonna go ahead and just build our own Limitless center spool. I'll show you guys how to do that, and then this will have its own spool, its own rear hinge pin brace, and everything else. So let's get to this Xlx2. Alright, first step, we'll find a drill bit to kind of clean the surface inside of there. Just take some of this light grade sandpaper and try and clean the end of this connector off. So I got a little solder down in the center. It doesn't really want to stick on the sides. So I'm just going to place a small circle of solder down inside there with some flux. And then when we touch the hot connector down inside, it's just going to melt all that together. And the flux is really going to help us with it all binding together. I'm gonna let go so it stays still. But I pressed it very hard in there. You can see all the smoke come up. I should have been wearing a respirator. But it looks like it's working very well. Alright, we let it cool down for like 10 minutes. And it looks really solid. Oh yeah, that's solid in there, but only testing it will tell One thing I want to add, I did use another video I found on YouTube as reference, Jamie Morrison. I'll leave a link to the video down in the comments, but I've been watching him speedrun on Facebook since I started, so I want to thank him for giving me a few tips. I did a couple things differently than he did, so we'll see if it holds up. Oh yeah, bud, that's a straight mustard sauce. Oh, it went inside the connector. We let the epoxy dry for about 45 minutes. It's all set up. I'm feeling pretty confident about our fix. But before we go any further with AR modifications, the on-off switch delete, and shortening these battery wires, I want to put it all back together and make sure that it's working okay. So we'll hook it up to a laptop with the Castle Link cable, and we'll hook it up to our 1650 Castle motor. We're going to go ahead and re-flash the firmware and make sure that it's working okay before we go any further. Alright, we got the Xlx2 hooked up to a computer to the Castle Link, and it read it no problem, so we're already looking good. We're gonna go ahead and go to the software, and it's already the current firmware, but we're gonna go ahead and re-update the firmware.
Welcome to Noble.
Alright, we're going to turn it on and first recalibrate the throttle. We'll start by making sure that all works, and then we'll test the actual motor. Full throttle. Full brake. Full neutral, if that's a thing. We're good to go. Let's test it. Woo! Our motor's spinning. Reverse. Forward. Alright guys, it's working. Alright, the next modification is super simple. Some people like to do it, some people don't. This is my first time doing it. We're basically just doing an on-off switch delete. All you have to do is cut back these two wires to your desired length and solder them together so they're always talking to each other and basically always telling the ESC that it's always on. So basically then you just use your batteries, you unplug them to turn them off, plug them back in to turn it on, and then right after that we're just going to shorten these wires to about 6 inches. They're about 8 inches right now from the connector down to the ESC. Yep. Looking good. So basically, to build a limitless spool, you just need the center spool part, 2 drive cups for each side, 2 bearings, spacers to fill in all the space, and then of course a gear. So I'm trying to go as close to stock as possible for a bashing setup. So 46 is the stock center diff usually. So we got 40T, that's the biggest one. We got an 8mm bore. That'll be our spur. I think it'll be fine if we go with an 18T pinion gear. I'm trying to go for a bashing setup because it's set up for speed runs, but I want to do plywood burnout. So we got to gear it down to be able to do that. And of course we got the straight mustard sauce thread locker Loctite red 271. The straight mustard sauce, because this car is always going straight ham, and it's straight ready to cut the ham. Alright guys, it's all set up and this is getting exciting. This has been in pieces for the past 6 months. So let's hook it up and make sure everything works. Alright guys, we're all done with this build. The Xlx2 is working great so far. We'll do some field testing in our video and really push some amps. You do not want to miss some videos coming up. We got Mojave EXP build coming up. We got Arrma Limitless version 2 build coming up right when it comes out. We got all these new builds coming up. Just real quick, want to show you guys that EMP rear hinge pin brace. This is why I love it, man. It makes all my saw blades perfectly straight. Then they can really work like actual saw blades. If you guys got any questions, let me know down in the comments. Make sure you hit that like button on the video. And if you're a new watcher, you gotta hit that subscribe button and make sure you click that bell because you don't want to miss any of these epic speedrun videos.